Kirsty,
Yes, Phil.
have you seen this game?
I have. It's from Delicious Games.
Ooh, tasty.
Fantastic.
Why don't you try a plateful of Woodcraft from Delicious Games?
Add it to your diet today.
Ludus, Vulpes.
Welcome to Ludus Vulpes. My name's Kirsty.
And I'm Phil.
You join us as we run through the good, the bad and the ugly of Woodcraft from Delicious Games.
This one here, let's face it, Delicious Games have been pretty reliable over the last few years, so can they do it again with Woodcraft, a game where you and your little elf helpers are going to be making beautiful, beautiful wooden items by sawing lumber up, gluing lumber together, adding little wood chips here and there, and taking actions on a sort of magical little rondel. It's all going to happen in this game. So, without further ado, shall we take a look at the board and go through a quick overview of how the game works?
Meet you at the table.
See you at the table. It's just down here. You can see some of it on screen anyway. Okay, so here we have a game of Woodcraft set up and ready to play.
Mid-play.
Mid-play. So actually, this is our track turn counter. We've already had 8 turns. We've got 6 turns left, and we've passed what's nominally the midway point. And at that midway point, you have the opportunity that a number of things in the game change. So what have you got? Well, we said it was a game about crafting wooden items, and wooden items are going to be found on these order cards, of which you actually start with 4 in your hand. And you end up selecting 4 from 7 cards, 2 of which you don't really have a choice over. You've also got your little wood crafting area, your little workshop.
Yeah, workshop.
You've both got 2 little helpers here and here who've been helping us out. We've also got a couple of upgrade areas where we can upgrade things like our saws. We can actually upgrade areas where we can glue little bits of wood onto dice. We've also got our lumber pile. Kirsty's lumber pile is bigger than my lumber pile, but I planted some as trees.
I got more wood than you.
You got more wood than me. And with your lumber pile, these are going to be used to fulfill your contracts, and you've got all kinds of things you can do to make that life a little bit easier on that respect. You've also got this thing in the middle, which is
Beautiful little rondel.
Is it beautiful? It is a beautiful little rondel. And you've got these action tiles here, which you're going to be taking, moving around the rondel, and each time you take an action, you're going to move it into the next available slot in the next quadrant. But you've also potentially got some bonuses you'll be able to gain as well. We'll talk about that in a bit more detail. We've got this income track, which is just here, which tells us victory point income and blueberry income. Oh, blueberries? What are we using blueberries for, Kirsty?
Blueberries are the currency in this game. So you trade blueberries for dice, for workers, for tools, for all sorts of things.
Yeah, potentially even contracts. Yeah.
Mm.
So blueberries are going to be your source of joy in the game, but also probably the source of more headaches than anything else during the game. Now, how does the game work? Well, at the start of the game, you are quite limited in your workshop. You've got this little 1 tree plant pot here. You've got 1 worker that you get to choose. You get a selection of 3, so you're going to get to choose one of those, and you get just this spot here, which allows you to add 1 to the value of any dice if you've got some of this, which are the wood chips. You've also got a little plant pot where you can plant a green tree as long as it's a value dice of 1 or 2. Now, the dice represent your wood, and the value on the dice represents how much wood or how big a piece of wood that is.
Yeah, and different size pieces of wood are needed for different contracts. As you can see here, I need green and brown wood to complete the contracts that I am currently fulfilling. Now,
there are many ways of getting dice in the game. And part of that is going to be buying dice from this like communal supply here, using one of the actions, which is this action here, which allows you to buy dice, but not all dice are created equal.
No.
Whenever you buy dice, you pay for the pips on the dice. So this green is going to cost me 6. This brown looks like it's going to cost me 5.
No, that is incorrect, Philip.
What?
So green dice are the number of pips shown in blueberries. The yellow dice are the number of pips shown plus 1. And finally, the brown dice are the number of pips shown plus 2. So this, in fact, would be 7. And this one would be 4.
That's getting expensive. Especially as I've only got 2 blueberries left.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite. So, on your turn, you can take an action.
Yes.
So, to take an action, you're going to take one of these action tiles. This one allows you to buy dice. This one allows you to buy some special items.
Yes, so we have saw discs, we have wooden chips, and we also have wood sap, which I refer to as glue.
Glue dots.
Glue dots.
So there you go.
Yeah.
So you got 3 different special items, and this allows you to buy 2 different ones at whatever the market value is up here, which remains static throughout the game, but buying more becomes more expensive.
Yeah.
Wherever you see this symbol here, where it's a blueberry with a red line through it, you're spending blueberries to achieve that.
Yeah, a scratched blueberry means it's a spend.
Yeah. This next action here is going to allow you to take contracts from the top, either 1 or 2.
Yep. If you do 1, it is a completely free purchase.
Yep.
So basically, help yourself. And if you purchase a second one, it costs an additional 3 blueberries.
Our next action across allows you to do something called production. We're not mentioning production because that is on your little helpers. And at the top of each helper is a little cog icon, which is the production icon. And when you take this action, you can do 2 productions. So I could produce 2 different workers. So I've got this one building me a lantern, this one building me a blueberry, or 1 production, and I can plant a tree. So I take one of my dice that's valued 1 or 2 and plant it in one of the plant pots, which are green, yellow, or brown. I've upgraded my workshop, so I've got both the yellow and brown. When you get the brown, you can actually plant 2 as part of this action, rather than just 1 dice.
Yeah.
They just must be of different colour. Our next action along is to take a helper.
The helpers, the cost to purchase a helper is indicated in this large blueberry here, and they either have an instant gain benefit, such as these 2 here. So this one will be increase your blueberry income by 3, or increase your hazelnut, well, both increase your hazelnut income by 2. These are the same, not quite as powerful, not as expensive. You can see the production areas here. However, you also have these 2 different symbols here. So this is an infinite use of spending lanterns to increase your reputation track, which is just here.
Whenever you would spend a lantern, you can increase your reputation track.
Yep. And this one is an infinite use of each time you increase your reputation, gain 3 hazelnuts on the track. And hazelnuts are your victory points in this game.
Nice. So the other thing you've got here, next action along, allows you to sell 1 of your dice for double the value of pips.
So if you've got a redundant dice that you no longer need, cash it in.
Yep. And then it also allows you to buy a dice to the value of 6. It must be a different...
Must be a 6.
Yep, and it must be a different colour. It's not coming from here, it's going to come from our general supply.
Yeah.
So if you're buying a brown 6, for example, that's going to cost you 8.
Yes.
And our last action up here is our upgrade workshop action, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spaces to upgrade.
Yeah.
Each one of them has a cost in blueberries, a reward for completing it, and then allows you access to whatever the tile is.
Yeah.
Tiles are once use between income phases, and we'll talk about that as we go.
So, for example, if this was used, you'll note that it has a cross on the reverse. And the same with these sawmills, they have a cross on the reverse. These only get refreshed at the end of each income round unless you have a refresh token, such as this. And you can use a refresh token to flip over one of these used back. But you can gain these through different areas of the game, so you can do it multiple times.
Yeah. So there's a couple of tokens we've not explained. So they're all the actions. A couple of tokens we haven't explained. Lanterns. Lanterns allow you to take an action. And when you take an action, if there's a benefit here or a benefit there, or both sometimes, you're going to take the action. You're going to move it into the next quadrant, to the next available space, so it doesn't leapfrog. And take any of the benefits and then take the action.
So that's using 1 lantern. Lanterns manipulate. They shine light on your options.
Like that. So I could take this action, move this tile over here, and spend a lantern to take a different action. There's a number of reasons why that's potentially useful. For example, this buy dice action cannot be used right now because we've got this little arrow pointing here and there is something in this quadrant. So when you've got a tile butted up against the arrow, the next place that tile must go is right at the start of a quadrant. So a quadrant must have been emptied first. So actually a lantern would still allow me to pick a different one of these, take the benefit and use that tile, but I spend a lantern to it.
The other option, which I remember now what I wanted to do just before we started filming, which was my extra bonus go, is you spend 3 lanterns to basically say, I'm going to do whatever I want from anywhere on the board and have an extra go.
No bonuses apply though.
No bonuses, but you get, and there's no movement on the rondel. You just say, right, I've decided I'm going to have an extra go.
I'm going to
take
do that
my lanterns.
Yep.
I'm going to do plant a dice, or I'm going to upgrade a piece on my board, or I'm going to purchase some wood from the wood pile.
Some completed contracts will give you access to the tokens over here as well, which Kirsty's taken full advantage of and I've taken no advantage of whatsoever. And these are just tools and they're stored in your roof. And every time you put a tool and there is a benefit in the space between those tools, as long as the tools are a different tool, you will get that benefit. And there are more than enough variety of tools to make that work.
I believe there's actually, is it 11 in total?
Yeah, something like that.
As you can see here, so when I've completed each of these contracts, I've gained 8 blueberries and a saw, 8 blueberries, a lantern and a mallet, 3 blueberries, 2 hazelnuts and a spanner. And you can see I've placed these in this section here.
Now, just a little word on this section here on your player board. So this explains how the turn works. We've talked about the actions, and we've talked about what lanterns do. That's nice. At the start of each turn, you're going to be able to grow a tree, or any trees that are planted will grow, and they'll add 2 to the value of the dice, which is nice. Then you also get a choice of these 3 actions. So you can activate a worker if it's got this symbol. So it's you activate it for use.
Ongoing use. Yep.
You can use one of these saw blades to chop a dice into 2 different values. So this 6 could become a 2 and a 4, for example. If you've also got these saw blades, you can add one of these saw blades in to make that 6 dice maybe 3 2s, for example. It allows you to subdivide further. You've also got these where you can add a little bit of wood back into a dice. Kirsty can add 1, I can add 2 potentially. You can complete a contract, which is perfectly free as long as you can meet the requirements on the contract, and you can also use this gluing tile where you glue 2 dice together and increase the value of those dice. Now, that pretty much gives you a summary of the game. The game is a bit more complex than that, a few more rules than that, but actually that gives you a summary overview.
You'll note that when I described the contracts that I've completed so far, I gave you the list of the benefits that I received. Now, there are particular contracts that are given to each player at the start of the game, and they have this symbol on. And this symbol matches these end game criteria cards. You can either choose to take one of these, and there are different variations, or you can take 5 hazelnuts and 5 blueberries. I would say it doesn't really matter. It depends on where you are in the game as to when you gain that, as to which is better.
So, how does the game progress? So they progress through a number of series of rounds. After 4 rounds, you'll reach an income round. During the income round, a few things happen. It's detailed here on the board. So any of your contracts that are here slide down.
That are not completed.
And the reason they slide down is because they're worth different benefits where you complete them. In this last slot, you'll lose a victory point, and if they fall off the board, you'll lose 2 off here. So that can be bad because this acts as a multiplier on this little track here.
That's your reputation.
It is your reputation. So at the moment, I'm on 2 reputations. So each of my completed contracts, of which I've only done 2, at the end of the game are going to be worth 2 points. But that can go up to 6, which is quite nice. So these will slide down. You'll then add in from your hand 1 additional contract, of which you start with 4. You'll then take income. So we got 2 victory points each. Kirsty got 5 blueberries. I got 2 blueberries. This stage here. We'll then refresh any of these upgrades that we've used. We'll then refilter these. So the bottom 2 of these will drop off and they'll be topped up with new ones. Same with the contracts. We've just gone past the midpoint, which means all of these have been level 1 people and level 1 contracts are being replaced with the level 2 and level 2 contracts. So we're ready to start round 9 of the game, of which there are going to be 14 rounds in total. So
we'll do an example round.
Yeah, maybe 2, because the rounds can go pretty quickly. I'm currently the active first player. Kirsty's just taken 3 more blueberries.
Because I should have taken that for the 3 contracts I completed.
Yes, you should. So that's the other thing to be aware of when you've got infinite uses, or actually any of these uses. Make sure you keep an eye on them and use them. So it's my turn. I am currently ready to start my turn. So these 2 trees that I've planted change my dice value from 1 to 3 on both of those. And these are just going to be, at the start of my turn, they're just going to increase in value. By 2. And that's quite nice because the contract I need here requires a 4 green dice. I have that. And it requires a 6 yellow dice, which I currently don't have. There's also a few other bits and pieces I don't have. So the first thing I'm going to do is resolve this fact that I've not got some wood splinters and a glue dot. I'm going to take this one, which I get a benefit here for 2 hazelnuts and a benefit here for 2 hazelnuts, so 4 hazelnuts.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I get a lantern there. I also get a saw blade, which is also quite nice. And I then get to take the actual action that I'm choosing.
So that moves round.
It moves round to here. And I get to buy from this market. Now,
Does that now move round?
No, when this one jumps over it, it will move round. So now, my action, I get to buy. Now, I need for this contract some wood bits and some glue dots. So I'm going to buy 2 of those each because I've only got 2 blueberries anyway. 1,
good job 2, you got those 2 blueberries.
Isn't it just? 2 there and 2 there. So that's me set up. That's the end of my turn.
Anything else you want to do before?
No, I haven't got enough things to do a reasonable free action, but I'm happy with that.
Okay, so on to my move, which might be a double move, as I've just remembered I've got 3 lanterns. Let's see. I will need a 4 somewhere. Okay, so I will buy 2 dice. So this moves around.
It does indeed.
And stops there. Moves to there with no additional bonuses. And I am going to purchase a 6 green.
Which will cost 6 because the green adds no additional value to the pips.
Which I'll place there. I will then also purchase. Do I go crazy? Maybe not, because I can't store it.
So this is a storage limit of 6, but you can play more dice during your turn than just the 6. However, at the end of your turn, you must discard down to 6.
Yes, that is my problem, I believe. Yeah, I'm going to be one. Actually, let's go crazy. Let's see if I can do it. So I'm going to buy the other 6, which is going to go there. So now I have no money.
But lots of
dice. Do you want to re-roll those ones?
So when at the end of a turn, when this has been
Haven't
emptied,
finished yet, but
no, but
yes,
you're not buying
at that
more.
time.
So
No, I won't.
we've got a 1 and a 3 to replace that with. So some cheaper green dice.
So I'm going to use my saw to chop this 6 into a 2 and a 4. So I'm going to turn that over to show it's been used.
So that's your 4.
Yep, and turn that into a 2.
It is worth saying at this stage that chopping dice up is one of the most useful ways of gaining extra dice in the game.
I'm going to fulfill this contract. Yes, this contract. I might be able to do both contracts, but no, maybe not. For a 6, a 4, and a wood chip.
Wood. So you get 1 blueberry because of it was here at the time, so that 1 blueberry comes your way. Now, what reward are you taking?
I think I might, because I'm very cash low right now, I believe I'm going to take the 5 and 5, please.
There you go.
And I also get an additional blueberry because it's another completed contract from my ongoing power.
That's quite a nice ongoing power, actually.
Yeah, I think so.
Is there anything else you want to do on your turn?
Now, let me see what I've got. I need a 4, a 3 and a 1. So I've got a 1. I don't have much of anything else. If only this saw could be used. I've got glue dots here and I need a 3. That's the 4 I think I'm struggling with. So I will use my extra move to...
So spending 3 lanterns to take another action off the rondel.
Which I will do this one.
Buy dice again,
I
but you
believe
can't buy
so.
dice because this space is unavailable
Okay.
on the leapfrog. So buying dice is probably going to remain unavailable for the vast majority of the rest of this game, I would say.
The round.
So,
Rest of the round.
maybe there.
Really needed that as well.
Do you want the blueberries back?
It's not blueberries, it's lanterns I've spent.
Sorry, do you want the lanterns back?
I'm just working out if I can do it by selling something, but I can't chop it.
You could take an upgrade action to buy another saw.
Yes, I'll do that. So I'll take this.
No, you won't because it was lantern, so that stays there.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
So
Do you want me to redo that again?
No, carry on, it's fine. So because it's a lantern action, Kirsty is just using the action, not moving the action on
so
the
it's
rondel.
costing me 1, 2, 3 in order to do that. Should have done that first because buying those 2 would have been half price.
Yes, so when you take the second saw blade, you get 2 blueberries off every time you buy a 6 value dice.
Which would have been rather nice. It would have saved me 4.
4, yes.
Yeah, because I brought 2. So that also increases my hazelnut track up 1.
It does.
Now I'm going to use this saw blade and this saw blade, I think, to... Do I need both? Do I need both?
I don't think so.
No, I don't. Okay, just that saw blade. So turn that over and I'll have a 4 and a 2. Like so. Now I will use this power to glue a 2 and a 1 together here. And because they're different colours, it gives me 4
more victory points.
Victory points. So I turn that over.
But she does lose the brown dice because she wants the green as a 3.
Yeah. And now I have my 4, my 4, my 3, and my 1 to complete this contract.
Which is nice.
And this contract gives me 5 blueberries.
I was including that one. It dropped off, didn't it? So
yeah, but I still get one for this.
Yeah, so
6
blueberries.
blueberries in total. I will take a glue dot for my production.
Because
and I also
this allows her
get
production, and she gets a plane.
A plane.
Which is there, which...
So I'm going to place the plane here, which gives me a lantern.
There's 1 lantern.
It gives me an increase on my hazelnut track twice.
And that gives you a free tool.
And I also get a reputation, please. So
what tool would you like?
The tool, I would like to take... Let's have a look. I think I'm going to go for the wood file. Thank you. And I'll take 2 on the blueberry check, please.
So Kirsty's massively outstripping me now in income. And I'm assuming that's the end of your go. And we'll move this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I can do much more right now.
Before you do something else. Which is just depressing. So that's quite a nice indicator of just how cascaded the game can get. So let's come off the table. That's an example round of how the game plays. And let's talk now about our thoughts, our goods, the bads, and our uglies on Woodcraft.
Right.
Okay. So, Woodcraft. Goods, the bads and the uglies. Woodcraft is a genuinely fascinating game. Lots of interesting things happening during the game, which is great news. Kirsty, what are your goods for this one?
We picked this little beauty up at Essen, and it took us a while to get it to the table. And whether that be through personal things that were going on, or whether that be just that our Essen pile was rather large.
Still is rather large.
We did it a little bit alphabetically, and maybe W was a bit low towards the bottom of the pile. So we have experienced this game recently, and yeah, it's a really good game. It has some really beautiful elements from other delicious games. So obviously we've got the rundle with the moving parts that we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
With the rundle, that's very much a Praga-esque feel.
Yeah, taking the action, moving around. It feels very like Praga.
Yeah.
But different enough, actually,
yes,
to not feel like a direct
it's not a
one trick.
It's not a one-trick pony. The first play of this, honestly, was a bit of a damp squib. But we are talking about the goods right now.
We are.
And that second play, wow. Like, the people who just go, I've played a game once, I'm not going to give it a go again. Oh, no. Always play a game 3 times minimum to get a feel and a vibe for a game.
The Kirsty rule.
Yes.
3 plays.
At least. Like, I think this is our 5th play, 4th, 6th play. Maybe 5th or 6th play, because there's so many different outcomes that come from this game. There's so many different factors to take into account. There's all the different helpers. There's all the different contracts that come up. There's the roll of the dice. There's so many different things that can change and impact your go. There's so much variability in the game. It's a fantastic game. The iconography is clean.
Yeah, it's crisp.
Yeah. The component quality is beautiful. It looks quite large on our table. You know, we've spread out the components. You could have all the dice in one container, etc. So although it's quite large, it's well produced.
Yeah, you can condense it into a smaller space than we have, but actually it's quite nice to be able to spread out with the game as well.
It is. It's a clever little game, isn't it? It's got that vibe that you want to be, I need to be doing that and that and that in one round. How am I going to do it? And that is where, if I just show you down at the table, that's where these beautiful little bonuses come in. So if you know you need, for a contract, you need a glue dot or you need a wood. It might be a slightly, lesser move that you're taking, but you can get that, then do an upgrade or get a person that's going to give you an instant bonus, or if you're short on money, it will give you, a bit of money, or actually I've got 2 lanterns, if I take this one I get 1 more, etc. And you've got that like cascade feel and thought process taking place with every move, and it's beautiful.
Okay. So from my perspective, the goods are that there's a lot of good in this game, a lot of really strong thinking points during the game. So if you like heavy Euros, medium to heavy Euros, this game is probably right up your street. Now, the way the game is structured, my first play of the game, and we talk about damp squib, my first play of the game, I was like, there's not a lot, like, it doesn't feel like there's going to be a lot of extra stuff happening in the game. So it feels like it's going to be quite a limited game. And we played the second game, and the game opened up for us. Yeah. And that opening up comes from a number of things. And I'll talk about one thing that I really like that might not sound like a good, but actually in my head is absolutely rock solid good. And Kirsty's already mentioned it. It's a force. It's how the game forces you to take suboptimal decisions and make the most out of those decisions.
Yeah.
You will never be able to do the thing you want to do easily.
No.
So, and because of the way the rondel works, you're not always going to be having access to the action you want, so you're going to have to pick something else.
Yeah.
And it's how do you make the most of those decision points, and that this game delivers deliciously.
It's very, there's the vibe of Underwater Cities with that. very much so I need to do that and that before that happens, and it's like it's so
the engine building elements are, you don't have to pursue them, but you probably should pursue some of them.
Yes.
The helpers can really power up your each of your turns. Just fulfilling a contract can sometimes make your next turn the turn you needed.
Yes.
So you've got lots of things happening. The income track, which I seem to be lagging so far behind on, so it may be not even worth mentioning, but the income track, it's not obnoxious. It doesn't mean that just because Kirsty's getting 7 blueberries a turn, I'm only getting 2 blueberries per income round. There's only 4 income stages in the entire game.
Yeah.
So that advantage, which initially you look at it and go, wow, Kirsty's just going to smash Phil, which she might do. But
we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. But that advantage is not as dramatic as it first appears, because that income only happens 4 times in the game. We've already done 2 of them, so we've only got 2 left. And one of them happens post the end of the game. So that, to me, what looks terrifying is actually fairly beneficial in the long run. The other thing that I really like about this game is how it encourages you to find balance.
Yeah.
You can focus in on one strategy, and that will help. And Delicious Games have often had the habit of, like, you hit one strategy hard and you go cleanly at it. Messina's a good example.
Yes.
You don't have to go this, like, there's no dominant strategy.
No.
It's not that one is better than the other, but actually sometimes it's advantageous to lean heavily in. This game moves a little bit away from that and allows you to diversify how you're approaching the game, rather than going, right, I'm going to go heavily into people and that's how I'm going to win the game, or I'm going to go heavily into filling this roof, that's how I'm going to win the game. No. You can do it in a number of ways, because everything allows your points to build into something significant and substantial. So for me, that feels like a step forward for Delicious Games, where you're actually now, it makes sense to you can diversify, but you can also focus in.
Yeah.
You've now got, let's say 4 or 5 viable strategies through the game, and those blended approaches can work. So well done, Delicious Games. You've actually increased the scope of what you've delivered in the past.
Yes.
So they are, I think, our real... Oh, the other good is value for money.
Yes.
The game has got hours of game replayability, and for me, that probably brings it down to, you get down to that kind of point of, like, when you're talking like £2 or £3 per person per play. That's just, it's
probably less than that.
Cheaper than a Greg's.
There you go.
You're all right.
There you go. There are other food available.
Maybe.
The other thing, which I forgot to mention when we were talking about the goods, is the theme that runs through this game. So obviously, different types of wood are cheaper and more expensive.
Yeah, true.
The fact that you use your saws to cut up the wood, to make it into smaller pieces. The fact that you can glue different bits together, but you need the glue to do that. You need the tools. The tools give you benefits because they make jobs easier. The theme just flows gently through. Even when we were talking at the start, and I said the lanterns, they shine a light on the opportunities which wouldn't be available. It's so well thought out, and the theme just runs through beautifully. It's
not a dominant theme.
No, it's not.
You wouldn't call it the world's most thematic game, but actually the theme helps you understand the game, which is quite nice. So they are our goods. Kirsty, do you have any bad? And let's not forget, bads are reasons why you might not want to buy the game, whereas our uglies are things we'd like to see improved in the game but wouldn't put us off buying. So Kirsty, any bads?
I personally, with this game, I don't have any bads. I have an ugly or two, which I'll discuss in a minute, but this is not a game for lightweight gamers. This is a little bit too complicated. There's a little bit too much going on. Like, there's no way I'm going to put this on the table in front of my parents yet. One day maybe, but no offense. However, it's one to avoid if you prefer much lighter weight games. That's the only real bad I can really.
Yeah, and I think actually I'd probably broadly agree. The game's not for everyone. If you don't like the gondola mechanism that's sat in Praga, you're probably not going to get on with this game. If you prefer your Euros slap bang in the medium weight, you're probably not going to love this game. It's a little bit heavier than that.
Stinkier.
Yeah, and I'd say from my perspective, for us, there's no reason to not buy the game. The value proposition is fantastic. However, there are people out there who this game is going to put off because some of the decision points are a little too vicious at times.
Yeah.
Because you are, and I said it for me it was a good. The game forces you into continuous suboptimal decisions and then forces you to make the most out of those suboptimal decisions.
And it looks beautiful.
It does look beautiful.
Whilst doing it.
But that for some people will be a bad. A lot of people want the game to continually reward. And if you want the game to continually reward you, this is not the game for you.
You need to build up to get those rewards.
Yeah, you work hard for the rewards in this game.
Yeah.
So they are bads, and I think more they're caveated bads. That if that type of game doesn't appeal to you, if this sort of moderated income phase where you get regular income doesn't appeal to you, then don't pick up Woodcraft. It's not for you.
No.
However, we both said we got a few uglies, so let's have a look at the uglies.
Okay, so my ugly. One of my key uglies with this, and especially when you're in mid-game and you're in the middle of the flow and it's like, I've got this reward, I've got that reward. The blueberries. The blueberries are all exactly the same size. The difference being the numbers here, which is fine. That might be great. But if you're in the middle of a game and someone's just picking up blueberries and, all right, I get 6 blueberries or something, and actually they could end up going, oh, I've got 4 there.
Yeah.
And it's, they could have been slightly different size, that, there could have been something to indicate the difference. When you've got such beautiful different components, like the wood chips, the glue dots, the saws, there's so much attention and detail gone into everything else. I feel that the blueberries could have just done with just a little bit more thinking there. Yes, it's numerical, and yes, you can see the number on it. However, a slight different change of size
would make life easier.
Would have made life easier for all.
And we're going to stay on the board for my first ugly as well, because that's where it sits. And it's part of the game we haven't actually explained. And it's up in this top left-hand corner of your player board. Mm-hmm. And this feels a bit weak. So this, at the end of each turn, you can spend blueberries to buy victory points. And that's exactly what the book says. Spend blueberries to buy victory points. And I get a feeling it's a bit of a balancing mechanism. If someone's playing through a strategy where they're getting lots of blueberries but not scoring victory points elsewhere, they can translate the victory points to blueberries at a decent ratio. And I just would have liked to have seen maybe something slightly better thought out here. Maybe taking that away and replacing it with another mechanism that might be like a shared and interactive mechanism within the game. For me, a
stock market?
Yeah, maybe a stock market.
In the middle of a woods?
Why not? But for me, that just felt a little bit weak. But there are definitely strategies where you can end up with a glut of blueberries.
Yeah.
And when you do play one of those strategies, this is where you're gaining victory points from. So back to Phil and Kirsty now. Any more uglies?
Uglies. Was there anything else? Occasionally, and only very occasionally, it tends to be the very first play. With most of these games, you're learning the iconography. Some of the icons can be a little bit tricky to follow.
Yeah, maybe.
I think it was, for example, so you've got a basket here, and you've got a basket here, and you've got a basket here, and then you get a discount on a basket here.
Yeah.
So is that when you're purchasing from this basket? For example?
Actually, from any
basket.
But you've also got a plant pot here, which is quite similar to the basket, and the iconography sitting around it might indicate that the iconography in this game is pretty good. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But it could have been maybe sharpened up just a touch.
But I mean, that's me really scratching to try and find something, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. One of the things I would say, it plays well at various player counts, and that's quite a nice feel as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't get a bit long, actually. That's unfair, but the game does take longer at each player count because there's no serious simultaneous play elements.
Yeah.
But the game helps you along by having a limited pool of actions, which actually probably helps a little bit.
Yeah.
So overall, I think there's a couple of uglies there, but they are just that. There's a little bit of weakness in the game in a couple of areas around buying victory points. Some of the iconography could just have been a little bit sharper. But apart from that, I think if you like mid to heavy Euro games with a really bright, colourful and pretty optimistic theme.
Yeah, with beautiful components.
Beautiful components.
Need to improve the blueberries.
Need to improve the blueberries. This could well be the game for you. Because if you've enjoyed delicious games in the past, you will not be disappointed with this game.
No.
That I think that's a really fair thing to say.
Like, Vladimir Suchy does so well at bringing fun, thought-provoking, really hang on, I'm going to take it, my example round, I planned was going to be really smooth and quick and fast to show you the video. But actually, this game makes you go, hang on, there's so little turns in this game. I really need to concentrate on what I'm doing. Yeah. I can't just make it look smooth. I need to go, hang on a minute. Is that the most efficient way for me to play my game? And he knocks that out the park every time with his games, and this is not a disappointment. Also worth saying, this game is in collaboration with Arnold as well. Yes. So it's two designers, but Kirsty's absolutely right. It's an efficiency drive as the game goes. Yeah. And the efficiency challenge in the game is the fact that actually you don't get to do what you want to do very often. You get to do something else that will get you part of the way on your journey. And that is delicious. And that is a lovely way of playing the game. I was just going to see if it says who the artwork is by on the box, but I can't see it on here. No, it doesn't there. But it's such a nice eye-catching box as well. It will be in the description. Yeah. So, there you go. Woodcraft. We think, actually... there was one still thinking. There is something I did want to just show you quickly, which I think is beautiful. And in the way that the Come Together did, they had different games. So I'm just going to bring you down to the table and hopefully you can see these here. Delicious games. So here you've got Messina 1347 and here you've got Praga. And that's a beautiful little nod to the other games. It is a nod to the other games. I really wanted to show you that, so sorry about that. So back to us now. Yeah. So yes, Woodcraft, fantastic game. If you like mid to heavyweight Euros, this is a great game to have a look at. If you can get a demo play somewhere, that's fantastic. If not, and you've enjoyed delicious games in the past, it's a bit of a no-brainer. Yes. We hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give us that thumbs up, a little like and a subscribe. That's all we ask. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Just search for Ludus Vulpes. And we switched that around. Yes, we did. That felt weird. Accidentally. Thank you for your time today, everyone. Thanks, everyone. See you soon. Bye. Bye.